government that we have. Who is the government serving? Is it serving the broad base of the people? With this current government, in our view, the people's lives are not being treated as a priority. In particular, they're not doing what the most honourable Portia Simpson Miller used to call balancing the books while balancing people's lives. I speak today from the premise that the role of government is to facilitate the people, all types of people, and facilitate their potential for growth. When we look at the state of the nation and listen to the daily frustrations of the people, it is clear that the government is out of step with the people. They are still practicing trickle-down economics when the world is moving on. If people cannot feel the reform and the recovery that the finance minister has been celebrating, it simply means that we're not focused on the right things. Madam Speaker, the time has come to move our country in a new direction. We have closely scrutinized the budget projections presented by the Andrew Holness administration for the fiscal year to come, 2023-2024. The budget tells you the priorities of the government, and I can see the serious change that is needed. We need to see the nation move to fair labor practices, improving broad access to the resources of the nation, to opportunity, to sustainable and good living. The government is not prioritizing the change that we need to see. It is not a budget for the people. It reflects the character and interests of those who this government primarily serves. Here are two examples, Madam Speaker. Why wouldn't the government find a way to extend the period for the public sector salary negotiations to continue to fruition and to allow the group to make their measured, well-informed and transparent decisions on the government's wage offer, instead of being bullied and cajoled by take it or lose it? Why? And why is there no budget for the overdue, constitutionally required local government elections? Why? This annual budget is a serious exercise. It has made me reflect on the role of leadership. Standing before you as leader of the opposition and president of the People's National Party is truly an awesome responsibility. I know that there are many relying on my voice to stand in the defense of the people and the democracy we believe in. The conditions of life that Jamaicans are suffering through today are very challenging and are intensifying. To face them requires leadership with the people's interests at heart. It requires leadership of good character to create a nation where we live good with each other. I will stand in defense of every Jamaican who is now languishing on a hospital bench or chair when they should be resting in a hospital bed. Every Jamaican who has to be making hard choices every morning between having breakfast or giving your children lunch money to go to school. Every student who is second-guessing the path they have chosen because they aren't confident that when they complete their education, they'll be able to find a meaningful job and to make a good quality of life for themselves. This budget should speak to those realities that are faced by real people with real lives, real families, and real hopes and dreams. The budget should be about building the Jamaican dream. But it is not about that at all. It is about more of the same when people want a new direction. Where are we coming from. Last year, the Andrew Holness government came to the people with a budget that they said was meant to respond to the social and economic challenges left in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. They acknowledged the rising global interest rate environment and the supply chain disruptions due to the war between Russia and Ukraine being fought on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. Food costs were rising. Energy costs were increasing dramatically. The government tabled a budget of $912 billion a year ago. We on this side looked at the projections and knew that with the spike of inflation and the sharp increases in the cost of living, especially food, transport, and electricity costs, the provisions for social support in the budget were inadequate. The weakened Jamaican economy coming out of the pandemic had not yet recovered the lost ground from the severe dislocation of COVID. Prices of basic necessities, food, electricity, transportation, medication, were rising above and beyond people's incomes, which were not moving, and have continued to rise week in, week out. With all that was happening in the world, and with the conditions that were being experienced by our people here in Jamaica, it was clear that the budget would not see the nation through what was going to be one of our most difficult years in modern history. As basic conditions of life worsened for most Jamaicans, with struggling to survive, we put our heads down, spent some time, and put in the work to double check the numbers. And Madam Speaker, I stood right here in this very space and told the people that we would take another $40 billion, or about 2% of GDP, to get the people of Jamaica through this period without the society unraveling. I asked them, I begged them, implored them to make the appropriate adjustments to the budget. I said further that support of $40 billion for vulnerable Jamaicans would be needed to cushion the crisis. It could be financed by slowing the pace of debt reduction for that fiscal year. The usual voices jumped out. The budget crafters put their greatest strategic asset, their media apologists, into action. And the result? Gaslighting and pure chat. They spun and they spun. Called us every name in the book. They even tried to make us out as fiscally irresponsible when we're the ones who set the country on the right fiscal path to begin with. Instead saying that if another $40 billion is added to the budget, the sky would fall in and the country would mash up. Well, we ignored the noise and watched the sales, continuing to advocate for more social support to cushion the crisis on the people. Well, Madam Speaker, last month, the Finance Minister, as is customary, tabled and presented the budget for this coming fiscal year. Then, for the first time ever, I think, in this country's history, he came back to the House after tabling the budget for the coming year to present a new set of supplementary estimates for the previous budget. So after he tabled the next budget, he was still adjusting the last one. History was indeed made in this House then. Even more than that, Madam Speaker, the supplementary estimate brought suddenly to this House by the government between tabling of the new budget and the budget debate for that one, there was a fourth supplementary budget in one fiscal year. That sounds to me like fiscal confusion. 4 supplementary budgets. Yes, Madam Speaker, so here we are, 4 supplementary estimates later. Having started with an estimate of 900